I will ask Mr. Ojārs to take his place on the podium. Stage. Please take the microphone. His presentation will provide a thematic perspective. He's the first speaker, and we have some others. The floor is yours, Ojārs. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to present. My presentation is not long, but I am glad about the activity of the first three speakers. All of us, we see how they approach this topic. Nīdāra kungs covered 8 centuries, and the other 2 speakers discussed a couple of decades in 20 minutes each. And we see how the time has been compressed and how dynamic the development of Riga city and port have been, how many changes have been brought about in this industrial age. Then technology changes the way we develop. Considering my age and experience, I find it funny that Mr. Vāveris says, when I was young, he is like half my age. In any case, we're both have a historical perspective on this. So we will not model the future of the city, but we will look back on the history. So let me find the button. Although the pictures we use are sometimes similar, we interpret them differently. What I would like to point out is think of how Riga looked, what it was like at the time. Its location was perfect for international trade. It was the medieval trade route. And the sea course is much more convenient than the road transport, and that was the one which the German traders used. They traveled from Lübeck to Eastern Europe and further to Russia, to Novgorod, and so on. It wasn't a coincidence that they chose the Daugava Bay. Although we do not have any older picture than these, we can only imagine what it was like. It was a small fisherman village with 20 to 30 wooden huts at the Rīdzene River, and in one of the river bands 20 to 30 boats, fishermen's boats, could be moored. It wasn't a big trade, but they could at least fish the local fish found in the river. However, this place was perfect for international trade and was preferred not only by the Slavic barges and the Viking ships, but also the Germanic traders who were looking for new sale outlets. It was a peninsula and attracted the attention of many traders of the time. Mintaura kungs showed you the main trading zone where the ships were moored. Riga was very small at the time, and this historical document depicts how it all happened. So the international trade provided the opportunity to use the embankment for handling of goods and to increase the revenues of the city. The Russian historian Doroshenko processed a set of documents referring to the 17th century. And these documents contained information, the data on the cargoes and ships which had been handled in the Riga port. Riga actually was 5th or 6th in Europe in terms of turnover at the time. I don't know where it ranks now, but at the time it was 5th, 6th in the world behind many other famous ports, with around 400 ships annually which enter the Riga port during the shipping season. I remember the beautiful slides that Mr. Mintaurs showed in his presentation, the bird's eye view. In this slide you see a picture not available outside Latvia in the Stockholm History Museum. And this map depicts the Swedish invasion, how the military fleet entered the Riga Bay. And you see only a few ships in the map. However, according to the Chronicles, there were over 100 ships which entered the river. Just imagine the quantity of this quantity. It wasn't by coincidence. Sweden was planning to conquer this port, transform it into a military center, and use the opportunities the Daugava River offered for mooring the ships. So 1621, a landscape of Riga, a drawing by hand, is one of the oldest plans of Riga, which offers a bird's eye view on the city, shows churches and other buildings. So the Swedish attack lasted for 5 years, and despite the efforts to protect the city, it was conquered. And we see that the Ridzina River in the early 17th century wasn't used used for mooring anymore, and was removed. So various fortifications were constructed, and then this part of the city was transformed into a trading zone. I'll take a leap and transfer you to the end of the 19th century. I have an album with pictures depicting Riga in the late 19th century, photos. And these photos show the industrial Riga, the industrial development before the World War I. Riga was an important export city of the Tsar's Russia. It was a transit city and had a lot to offer. If we look back to the Riga castle, pay attention to a beautiful tower next to the president's apartments. In 1649, when this tower was built, it was meant to be an ornamental addition to the castle, and it was meant for looking to the river. The rulers could look onto the river and see how the ships entered the port and brought in revenue for the city. And it showed what economic potential the city held. So, romantic tugboats and ships built in Vidzeme seaside were found in the port, and also the ships from various other countries, the Dutch, British, and German ships, and so on. This summer I was in Scotland, and one of the guides in one of the castles said that the owner of this castle used to trade with Eastern Europe with such unknown cities as Memel and Riga. I have no idea where Memel is, said the Scottish guide. And then I explained to him where Memel was, and this is the problem worldwide, that sometimes cities have German names, and they used to be different in the German times, and now they're different. And then he was very happy for my explanation, and he actually explained that that interior in this particular castle had been partially built from the Baltic pine. These pictures have very interesting history. For example, here in the front of the Anglican Church, we see the grinding stones, which were widely used at the time, and the Swedes had purchased these grinding stones, and today we find them very rarely in various places in Latvia. The last picture, the one before the last, shows how painters, Latvian painters and the German painters saw Riga, their romantic view on Riga. So we see that the ships were built, and the Daugava was actively used for trade. Thank you for the possibility to present, and I hope that I managed to show you how closely history is linked with nowadays. Thank you, Mr. Spārītis, for his poetic presentation.